I got that animal ambition. I got that animal ambition. I got that.
What's up, y'all? Smoak here. What's good? I haven't been recording in a long time. It's been like, just about a week since Christmas Day last week. I'm recording this on a Sunday, December 31. Happy New Year's Eve to y'all, and Happy New Year's, period. I see now that I currently, at the making of this video, got 14 subscribers, so that's cool. Thank you guys for the support, for subscribing to my channel. I really do appreciate it. I would do a heart sign with my hands, but I'm drinking hot chocolate right now, so yeah, I really do appreciate it though. Thank y'all for subscribing. Thank y'all for watching, leaving likes and stuff. That's cool. In this video, I'm gonna be watching 10 WWE wrestling matches so bad they've received 0 stars by WrestleMania. I assume these ratings are going to be coming from the Wrestling Observer by Dave Meltzer. I guess he's like the top critic guy for pro wrestling. I think this has been going on since like what, the 80s, maybe 70s. I'm not entirely sure, but I know he's been doing it for such a long time. So again, Happy New Year's to y'all. So let's start this video.
Dave Meltzer's ratings, despite being controversial in nature, are always a key indicator of the quality of a matchup, and there have been some atrocious WWE matches that Meltzer awarded with the infamous dud rating. A dud rating means 0 stars, and some rather polarizing matches have been awarded the 0-star rating in the 30 plus years that Meltzer has been publishing the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Join us now as WrestleMania looks at 10 WWE matches that received 0 stars.
I'm interested in this list because I'm like, what kind of match would be rated 0 stars? Like, how bad can it be? I mean, for somebody like me who watches the wrestling for the wrestling, the choreograph of the in-ring work, this is really intriguing to me. That intro is a banger.
Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new website, WrestleMania.com. Number 10, Kane vs. Bray Wyatt, SummerSlam 2013.
I wasn't watching at this time.
SummerSlam 2013 featured the in-ring main roster debut of Bray Wyatt.
Damn.
Wyatt would collide with the legendary Kane in a match type known as the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire was basically an Inferno match, yet for unknown reasons, WWE decided to completely rebrand the notorious matchup. Whilst the match was a fine spectacle due to the fire around the ring, the match was a slow and plodding affair, and Kane at this point in his career wasn't exactly having stellar matches. In The Observer, Dave Meltzer would claim,
Oh, it was a different match. Okay, so it's the same thing with the fire outside the ring, but instead you gotta cover them? Huh.
that the match was really bad, and he also added, not a good debut at all for Wyatt. The fire around the ring limited what they could do. They didn't click, and the finish was bad considering the whole idea of the gimmick was that nobody could interfere, and it was an interference finish. The flames were kept low, except they'd shoot up whenever somebody would take a bump. At first it felt like kind of a spectacle, but after about 2 minutes it just felt like a bad match. Number 9, Alexa Bliss.
Real talk, I never watched it. After hearing what you have to say and knowing WWE, that does sound pretty terrible.
Bayley, Extreme Rules 2017. Alexa Bliss and Bayley's showdown at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view in 2017 is arguably one of the worst women's matches in WWE history.
Damn.
The match was a kendo stick on a pole match, and the pay-per-view encounter was one of the worst examples of character development imaginable, as the match completely annihilated Bayley's once illustrious babyface persona. It was a total shock when Dave Meltzer awarded the match a dud rating, as in all honesty there was an expectation that the match would be awarded a negative star rating. Meltzer would write in The Observer that the match was a psychological disaster and a joke of a championship match. Yikes. Number 8, Curtis Axel vs. R-Truth, Fastlane 2016. When Fastlane used to take place before WrestleMania, there were often complaints that it was a nothing pay-per-view and a complete waste of time. Fans who held this opinion were proven right in 2000.
In real talk, that's pretty much the case for all the pay-per-views before WrestleMania, between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, bro. Elimination Chamber have some significant with the Elimination Chamber matches, but Fastlane was ass, bro.
2016, when WWE booked Curtis Axel vs. R-Truth on the show. Although the match was just over 2 minutes, it simply had no place on a pay-per-view card. The crowd were painfully silent and no doubt questioning if they were at a WWE Superstars taping as opposed to the last pay-per-view event before WrestleMania. Number 7.
He said 2 minutes? Bro, real talk. Pay-per-view, all matches should be at least 5, bro. Not 2, 5. It's pay-per-view, right? Might as well showcase their talent on, on a bigger stage. They're getting paid more money for it.
Braun Strowman vs. Bray Wyatt, Money in the Bank 2020. The main rivalry of Braun Strowman's Universal title reign was with Bray Wyatt. This made a ton of sense due to the established history between the two, yet due to their feud taking place during the COVID-19 pandemic, the feud struggled to take off without a live audience. The two would collide at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view and the match could have worked, however the issue was that WWE booked the match as if there was going to be a crowd in the attendance. It was an awkward match that was more suited to Raw or SmackDown as opposed to a major pay-per-view event such as Money in the Bank. Dave Meltzer had a brutal review of the 0-star rated match in The Observer, which read, "They hugged and the puppets were happy. Then Strowman took off his mask, stomped on the mask, and power slammed Wyatt for the pin. After the match, they teased the idea that the Fiend would be coming for revenge. It did build to the next step, but as a match, this sucked." Number 6. The Boogeyman vs. JBL, Royal Rumble 2006. In 2006, WWE were adamant on making the Boogeyman a legitimate threat in the company. The Boogeyman would defeat names such as JBL and Booker T on pay-per-view events, yet this did little to impact Boogeyman's stature in the ring, as his in-ring work was barely passable for the main roster. When the WWE booked the aforementioned JBL to collide with the Boogeyman at the 2006 Rumble, fans hoped that the talented JBL would be able to carry the worm-eating maniac to a passable match. However, that wasn't the case. The match was brief, which was a wise move, yet this did little to protect the Boogeyman as he looked completely lost in the squared circle. Dave Meltzer's dud rating for Boogeyman's so-called pay-per-view showcase was completely justified. Number 5. The Miz vs.
And the Boogeyman, he was just a gimmick character. There was no sign of him as a pro wrestler whatsoever, bro. So he was a sports entertainer personified. It is not a bad thing. For a business, though, that portrays wrestling, like, you know what I mean? Like Kane, he's a big scary dude, right? Undertaker too. Like Boogeyman, bro, they really didn't do much with him in wrestling. My gosh. But remember, y'all, he's the Boogeyman. He's coming to get you.
The Bash 2009. 2 years before The Miz would main event WrestleMania 27 against John Cena, Miz and Cena would have a small feud in the summer of 2009. The feud was notable as it was arguably the first time in which The Miz was pushed into the prominent position in the company, and his mic work managed to shine in the feud. Miz and Cena would then collide at the Bash
now, this
in
was his rise up,
2009,
though.
and in a questionable move, the match was basically a squash with Cena winning. WWE had a great opportunity to make Miz a star in the match, yet they decided against it for unknown reasons. Although the match wasn't awful, it was bizarre to have a squash match of this nature on pay-per-view, as it was booked like a formulaic TV squash. Meltzer had a scathing review for the match in his 0-star review. Terrible storyline, no time due to problems that should have been rectified. Cena didn't get over by winning because he beat a guy who was a joke, and Miz was buried underground for no reason other than even though he was getting over on television, he's not allowed to eat at the big boys table yet, and the fans had to be reminded of this. Number 4.
Now, real talk, I think that's a bit harsh. It was actually good for the Miz's story, because he's a guy trying to be on a come up since his departure from John Morrison, and you can see later on in his career. Because what year was that? This was like 2009 or something. Because eventually he was forced to leave Raw in a match they had, I think, on Raw, but he came back in disguise as the Kyrie Kid. He won the contract. He started wearing them the wrestling brief tights. And then he won a U.S. title, became tag team champion. Like, all that accumulated to his rise as a true WWE performer. And eventually won the Money Bank and WWE title. And you could say that in hindsight, but for the long haul, though, it was actually good for the Miz's career. You gotta respect that.
Kevin Owens vs. Goldberg, Fastlane 2017. Fastlane 2017 saw one of the most controversial moves in recent years, as Goldberg would squash Kevin Owens to become Universal Champion. Owens was super over with the crowd, and he should have walked into WrestleMania 33 as champion and faced Chris Jericho in one of the top matches on the show. Ultimately, Vince McMahon made the call to have Owens drop the title to Goldberg, and although Jericho would distract Owens, costing him the match still did significant damage to Owens' credibility. The match finish received vast criticism online, and the 0-star rating from Dave Meltzer is appropriate for such an infamous matchup. Number 3, Sheamus vs Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 28. How do you even rate a match that lasted 18 seconds?
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Yeah.
when Sheamus defeated Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds at WrestleMania 28, Meltzer awarded the match 0 stars. Meltzer would state that if the WWE were going to deliver a title change within a few seconds, then it should have been in the Cody Rhodes vs Big Show Intercontinental title match. Tons of yes chants and signs. Bryan kissed AJ and turned around into a brogue kick for the pin. To me, if they wanted to do a 10-second title change, the Show vs Rhodes match was the one to do it in. Although the match was designed to get Sheamus over, it did quite the opposite. Following the record-setting loss, Bryan became even more popular with the crowd, and slowly but surely, WWE had no choice but to embrace Bryan's popularity as he become one of the top babyfaces in the entire company. Number 2, Batista vs.
You see, the thing about WrestleMania 28 was that they had to cut a match significantly short. That match with Sheamus and Daniel Bryan, because the thing was, originally, for what I hear on interview, was that Chris Jericho and CM Punk was going to be a quick match. Was it going to be 18 seconds? Maybe, likely, or a little bit longer than that, like, and add an extra 30 seconds, because Chris Jericho doing his whole thing with CM Punk, right, talking about, I think he talked about his mother. He called Punk a bastard, and he made fun of his sister for drinking and yeah, for pretty much drinking. So, coming into the match at WrestleMania, they wanted CM Punk to lose by disqualification because he can't contain his anger. But that's when, after meeting with Chris and Vince, I don't know if CM Punk was there, the stipulation was added that if CM Punk loses by disqualification, the title will change hands. And Chris Jericho was provoking him all match long, being the heel that he is. And seeing him as a heel, he tends to be a slippery, with that stipulation made the match longer than it is. About like, what was it, 22 minutes? And it was a good match, bottom line. So it was like, all right, we're going to do the world title. Because WrestleMania stated that Dave Meltzer stated that you was better off having that Big Show versus Cody Rhodes being a short match, like 18 seconds, since Big Show did beat Cody Rhodes for the title. Like a world title match for 5 minutes, it just doesn't sit right. It was either 15-minute plus, 10 or 15-minute plus, or 18 seconds. But it wasn't gonna do 5 minutes. It just wasn't gonna sit right. And this is just Dave Meltzer. I don't know, it's just him not being understanding to the situation, bro. It even made sense in storyline.
Is Kane Armageddon 2002. It took some time for Batista to become a top star in WWE. When he was thrown into the deep end in the late 2002, Batista struggled from an in-ring perspective, and this was highlighted when Batista had a singles match against Kane at the Armageddon event. The match was met with a crowd that couldn't care less about Batista, and it's crazy to watch this match compared to Batista's matches later in his career, as the improvement is unbelievable. Meltzer, to nobody's surprise at the time, absolutely hated the match, and in his analysis of the lackluster match, Meltzer would claim that Kane was the wrong guy for Batista's first major program in the company. Crowd set a new level of dead for this one. Ric Flair tried to be the whole match, but didn't come close to saving it. This was the wrong guy for Batista's first program, but I understand the idea. You make a star by beating an established star, and he was going to do so here. Kane no-sold all of Flair's interference, but it allowed Batista to get an advantage. There was a spot where Batista dropped Kane going for the powerbomb. I hope Batista isn't scared by that one, because the crowd just killed him. And number 1, Jack Swagger vs The Big Show, Over the Limit 2010. Jack Swagger had one of the worst title reigns imaginable in 2010.
Yeah.
Swagger had the talent in the ring, yet WWE didn't want to commit to making Swagger a credible world champion, meaning that his reign was lifeless and boring. Swagger would defend his world title against Big Show at the Over the Limit pay-per-view, and the match would last 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes were met with painful silence from thousands of fans in attendance. The match would end in an anticlimactic manner as Swagger would hit Big Show with the world title. There was no sense of anger that the match was over, and this was a clear indication that fans had zero interest in Swagger as world champion.
Yeah.
Writing in The Observer, Meltzer would sum up the match as well as outline the main issue with Swagger's 2010 world title reign. I really am stunned by watching a WWE pay-per-view in the sense that even if it's not what you expect, it makes sense. I keep expecting the deal where Teddy Long would come out and say how he's not going to let Swagger out that easily, and it never happened. Swagger comes in as a weak champion in the sense that people don't see him yet at the level, so they have to book him to get him at that level. Instead, they're doing the opposite so far. But there you have it, folks, 10 WWE matches that received.
And it felt like during that time though, the SmackDown roster was like kind of dead for main eventers. I don't know. They had Randy Orton. He beat Randy Orton, I think. Oh, yeah, CM Punk, but he was a heel. He had Rey Mysterio. I mean, he could have went head to head with him. But I think Rey Mysterio was doing something with CM Punk. Can't recall. Yeah, it was just misfortune. That was just booking decision. I don't know, man. Like Jack Swagger was just playing a serious role. It was like, damn. Yeah, this is a cool vid. Again, 0 stars is pretty crazy. I mean, just give him 1, bro. I don't see the point of giving him 0. You like saying if a match was so outstanding, right? Forget about 5. I'm gonna give you 6. Then again, this is Dave Meltzer we're talking about. He's not gonna give WWE matches a 5 star. So, so yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Peace. I'm out, and Happy New Year's.